How to Train Your Dragon is one of those animated movies that has this huge cult following, and that's why DreamWorks decided to start adapting it into a live action movie. And I just hate this trend in general when they take something that's an animated classic and they have to do the cash grab live action that takes all of the charm and everything that we loved about it away. But, to make matters worse, of course, when you take something from animation to live action, the casting debates get heated.
Mm-hmm.
And the cast for How to Train Your Dragon is public information now. They cast Astrid, the blonde, blue-eyed Viking character, and they made her a black woman in the movie. Okay?
Tandy Newton's daughter. She was also in The Last of Us. She played Joel's biological daughter at the very beginning. It was actually the best scene in the show. So
what we know about her, she's Tandy Newton's daughter, so she's a Nepo actress, first off. And the only other notable role that Nico Parker has had is another race-swapped character from an existing IP.
Yep.
So what does that say about who's getting propped up and astroturfed in Hollywood, first off? But again, this is yet another example where this character very clearly should be of European descent. It's literally a Viking. They're supposed to be Scandinavian. All the rest of the cast, as far as I can tell, were not race-swapped, but Astrid was. One person said instead of casting an actual blonde Swedish or Norwegian girl to play Astrid, they just had to cast a black girl to play a white Viking for absolutely no reason. I think I want to play Mally Mouse's video on this because she had a very impassioned speech. I just sent it to you in case you don't have it.
This one right here?
Yeah.
And before you start with me, yeah, it has to do with her race. Because this is a story about Vikings. Look at the real Astrid. Blonde hair, blue eyes. You know, people love to throw out the term whitewashed a lot, but I would really love to discuss what kind of color washing is happening to every live action movie that comes out now. Didn't need it. Definitely didn't need it. Still don't want it. And here you guys are basically making the Lion King live action with How to Train Your Dragon. Just because you hired real actors does not mean that you're not gonna have to CGI half that fucking movie. That's not even the point. I was willing to let go of the CGI thing when you weren't gonna do another race swap. What is so hard about staying true to the original stories? Do we have to keep reinventing them? Because obviously no one likes them. Except for the loudmouth stars that you choose to do them, of course. Because here is the new Astrid saying, I could never do America Ferrera's interpretation of Astrid because I am not her. Well, then maybe you shouldn't be her. Honestly, I think we're at the point where we can start calling this cultural appropriation. You know, I was willing to let go of the mermaid thing and the blue fairy thing and all these things because those are just mythological, made-up things. But now you're just distorting history so that you can effectively pander. I hear a lot of people complain that we don't talk about Black history enough. Well, yeah, maybe it's because y'all are busy stealing everyone else's history.
Savage.
That was savage.
I mean, do you feel strongly about it?
Look, I never feel strongly about the race swaps unless they inject actual racial discussion into the character that was never there to begin with.
They might. Don't put it past them.
But to be fair, I understand where all of the anger comes from it because most of the time when this happens, it's not happening to characters that I'm super fond of. So that doesn't mean that that's not how I'll feel when it does eventually happen. When they eventually remake Burn Notice and make Michael Weston black, I might have a different reaction. I have no idea. But I have the same feeling about this discussion every time that we have when we talk about whether straight actors can play gay characters or whether gay actors should play straight characters and whether cancel culture is still happening or not. I'm just like...
Lay sigh.
Well,
I hate the excuses that keep getting repeated over and over again. Most notably, oh, it's a movie with dragons in it. Why are you trying to say it should be historically accurate? Okay.
I don't like this. I don't like the straw manning of the arguments.
Black Panther is set in a non-existent mythological country, with what is it called? There's the chemical with it.
You mean in
vibranium? Vibranium in Wakanda? No, that was from Avatar.
No, vibranium.
Vibranium. They have vibranium as their fuel sources. So what if we just made a spin-off of Black Panther and race swapped all of the characters to be white because it's fake? It's mythological anyways. Who cares? Why do you care so much? Why are you so mad? Oh, you want representation? How dare you?
Yeah.
It's never a two-way street. We already knew that.
The other best way to get over this, if I was to give the studio any advice, is to hire people that actually have a name and recognition. There's a reason why certain actors get away with it more readily than others. A great example that I always forget to bring up is Will Smith as Deadshot in Suicide Squad, which a lot of people forget that was a race swap. Nobody cared.
Well, it's Will Smith.
Because it's Will Smith, right? So certain actors are going to get away with it because when it comes down to it, people still think of meritocracy first, even above, in a lot of ways, the storyline, right? They're like, look, okay, I don't think they should have done it, but I get it. You've got Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. It's Samuel L. Jackson. Everybody loves Samuel L. Jackson. It's Will Smith. Everyone used to love Will Smith. It makes sense, right?
Well, they did that with Zendaya in Dune. She's a race swap.
Yeah, but nobody actually cares.
Nobody liked that.
She is not Will Smith, and she's not Denzel Washington. Yeah. She's not Will Smith, and she's not Samuel L. Jackson. And you hurt these actresses and these actors long term, because then they have asterisks next to their career that they don't readily need. And I don't even necessarily care about the actors doing it. It's kind of like, I'm not going to hate on an actor for getting a paycheck. They just want to make some money. I will be annoyed at the studio for turning them into cannon fodder, and then me having to sit there and listen to everybody complain about it because they all want to bitch about it. Now, do I care necessarily when there's race swaps inherently? No. Do I then judge the actors when they get mad when people are angry about it? Yes. If you sign up to do that, it's your responsibility to know that you're putting yourself in the line of fire by doing that.
Well, since you bring that up, I would like to show a TikTok explaining the backstory of why Cynthia Erivo, the race-swapped Wicked Witch of the East in Wicked, was so offended by fan-edited posters.
There's a 20.
This is from Dingus Khan. Greetings from Minnesota. Just started watching a week ago and have watched live since. Thanks for making my 2 to 4 awesome. You guys are great. Thank you so much.
And as a fellow Minnesotan, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
All right.
Solidarity.
Here we go.
Reason why Cynthia was mad about Wicked poster being modified. Probably y'all don't know that she acted as the blue fairy on Pinocchio. She got so much hate only because she was a black woman. People were so
Might have been
mean
that
with her
she's
and
bald.
disrespected on her in all the aspects. She wasn't really upset about the poster being modified. She just didn't want to show vulnerability to people again and be treated horribly again, regardless of her talent. So please stop being mean with her. If all of you were massively harassed because of your ethnicities, y'all would act the same as her.
Okay.
So we have to handle her with kid gloves and not criticize anything about any movie she's in because she has a complex? That's
Again,
it? That's what I'm hearing?
This is the same thing I said about Ariana Grande. You are a celebrity. It is your job to handle your fame in a way that is not going to lose your studio money.
That's wild.
Right?
That's absolutely wild.
I'm going to tell them look, I know that you, the Hollywood studios, are crack whores, addicted to doing this. I get it. It's not easy to wean off of it. But if you're going to consider to continue your crackhead behavior, what you should be doing is casting the most recognizable actor you can find. And I don't just mean like a good actor. Like I said, you need to find somebody who is above reproach when it comes to fame and notoriety, because then people will focus on that casting rather than the race. Because most people don't know about it. Most of the time when this happens, the normies don't know, nor do they care. Mm-hmm. They don't care if Floyd Lawton was black or white. They just care that Will Smith is the character. Okay? But when you cast somebody that nobody knows, you allow the people who make that your point of discussion to control the narrative. I'm literally trying to help them right now. Okay? So if you're going to do that, cast the best person you know, and at least you'll push back a little bit on the hate you're going to get. But I know for a fact that you're not going to do that.
They never listen.
Never will.
Yeah. In a recent interview about the live action How to Train Your Dragon, this girl, Nico Parker, explains how this film will be different from the original, what fans should expect. She said, I think it's very much its own thing, and I'd like to think so much of that magic is also prevalent in this one. It's its own film, and it's its own interpretation, and everyone has their own version of a character. It's important not to get too wrapped up, especially because the animated ones are so brilliant. Let's not try and just do a play-by-play of that, and if anyone wants that, they can watch the animated ones. It'll be wonderful, and if it isn't, I'm having a wonderful time making it anyway. It's wonderful no matter what.
Okay.
That just, I don't know, like, why are you making an updated version of something that people loved?
Yeah.
I feel like nobody's gonna watch this.
Look, I don't know. How far off is the release date?
It's in June next year.
It'll be, what we'll have to do is when it gets closer to the time, we'll have to pay closer attention to what the box office projections look like for this film. But this also just, look, a lot of these animated movies don't need live action.
Not at all.
Back in the day, it was a lot of fun to think about the live action adaptation of films, and it was great speculation.
It was fun conversation,
It was great conversation, but that was because when you had these discussions, it was in good faith, and you assumed that the studios would do their best to stay accurate to the characters, but that's never really been the case. So,
well, they're putting out an animated Lord of the Rings show, aren't they, on Amazon?
No, that's a theater release.
Is it?
War for Whom, yeah.
Okay, when is that?
Christmas.
Is that also next year?
Christmas, I think.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that until just now.
This also came up, guys, because they cast Andra Day as Athena in Percy Jackson season 2. Percy Jackson season 2, to its credit, has done very, very well numbers-wise, and is not garnering the hate. The best place, and I'm not even kidding you, the best place you can be is to find a middle ground between hate watching and no publicity at all. Like, certain shows can just do it. Like, one of the death knells for Rings of Power season 2 was just that nobody was talking about it because the hate for season 1 was so bad that everything by comparison seemed like nothing. But what you need is to get a little bit of publicity to start and then grow. Because if I remember correctly, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, their number base for viewers grew as the show went on, not fell. So you got to find a middle ground, and you got to find your audience, and then just go with it. Otherwise, the bad publicity wins. Here I am just trying to give them advice on how to fix it, and they're not going to listen to any of it.
You're so altruistic.
I know.
They just don't deserve it.
That is 100%.
Oh, they're talking about re-swapping one character you do like, James Bond.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying that whiteness is not a given for the character. This has been going on for as long as Idris Elba has been considered for the character. I still think Aaron Taylor Johnson is a very likely pick for this character. If Bridgerton had remained as successful as it continued, I would have thought Regé-Jean Page would have still gone on to be James Bond. But we'll have to wait and see. Another example I'll give you of how these things tend to happen is look at the postmortem on what they did with Batman Caped Crusader with the gender-swapped penguin versus the absolute juggernaut of a penguin that we got in the live-action adaptation with Colin Farrell, right? People liked Caped Crusader, but it eventually just kind of left the public consciousness fairly quickly. The Batman's spin-off series, The Penguin, was a cultural moment this year for that series and did huge numbers for them regularly at the top of the Samba TV charts. And that's because they gave you a very, very good-looking, honest comic book portrayal in live action of the character. Hey, you even got to swap something. You got to make a thin person fat. So their desperation desire to not be 110% accurate still gets to be fulfilled. You still get to do your thing. You get to fat shame by making a skinny person the Penguin.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.